And so let us, white and black, see that we are tied in a single garment of destiny. We need each other. The Negro needs the white man to free him from his fears, and the white man needs the Negro to free him from his guilt. And any approach that overlooks this need for the coalition of conscience is unwise and misguided. A doctrine of black supremacy is as evil as a doctrine of white supremacy.
Me and he's my brother, regardless of our ideology. I'm going to come when he calls. I'm here for that reason. Black power shall prevail. When Dr. King asked me to come today, I had difficulty getting here.
This day, we must continue. We are not respected. We must say to every industry, if you respect my dollar, you must respect my person. Yes, the battle am in our hands, and together we can pool our resources, and the walls of injustice and discrimination will come tumbling down. Now let me say a few words about the method we use to gain the legitimate power that we must possess. We must work passionately and unrelentingly for first-class citizenship. But we must never use second-class methods to gain it. I understand our impatience. We have been the victims of so many broken promises. We have been the victims of so many deferred dreams. I understand our legitimate discontent. I understand our nagging frustration. We are the victims of a crisis of disappointment. But I must reaffirm that I do not see the answer to our dilemma and our problem in violence. Our movement's adherence to nonviolence has been a major factor in the creation of a moral climate that has made progress possible. This climate may well be dissipated, not only by acts of violence, but by the threats of it verbalized by those who equate it with militancy. Our power does not reside in Molotov cocktails, in rifles, knives, and bricks. The ultimate weakness of a riot is that it can be halted by superior force. We have neither the techniques, the numbers, nor the weapons to win a violent campaign. Many of our opponents would be happy for us to turn to acts of violence in order to have an excuse to slaughter hundreds of innocent people. Beyond this, violence never appeals to the conscience. It intensifies the fears of the white majority while relieving their guilt. No, our power is not in violence. Our power is in our unity. Our power is in the force of our souls and the determination of our bodies. This is a force that no army can overcome. For there is nothing more powerful in all the world than the surge of unarmed truth. No, violence is not the way, but there is another way. A way as old as the insights of Jesus of Nazareth and as modern as the techniques of Mohandas K. Gandhi. There is another way. A way which says you can conquer evil. Nonviolence does not mean doing nothing, accepting evil. It means standing up so strongly with your body and soul that you cannot stoop to the low places of violence and hatred. And I'm still convinced that nonviolence is a powerful weapon. It cuts without wounding. It is a sword that heals. Here in Chicago, we must pick up the weapon of truth. We must pick up the ammunition of courage. We must put on the breastplate of righteousness and the whole armor of God. And with this, we will have a nonviolent army that no violent force can halt and no political machine can resist. And as we think of our methods, it was a dedicated white Unitarian minister named James Reed who was clubbed to death for our freedom in Selma, Alabama. It was a marvelous white woman named Viola Liuzzo who died for our freedom on Highway 80 in Alabama. It was Father Morris Rowe from this city who was shot down in Lowndes County, Alabama for our freedom. We assemble here today to march to City Hall to demand redress of our legitimate grievances. And I want every one of you here to march with us today. By the thousands, we will march out in a few minutes to make our great witness. I'm still convinced that there's nothing more powerful to dramatize and expose a social evil than the tramp of marching feet. Now as we march, some silent onlooker, some detached spectator will probably ask, where are these people coming from? The answer will come in the words of John the Revelator. These are they that are coming up out of great trials and tribulations. These are they coming up out of many years of neglect and exploitation. These are they whose children have been so scarred by the system of oppression that they often have clouds of inferiority floating in their little mental skies. These are they who, with tear-drenched eyes, have had to stand over the coffins of 4 little beautiful, innocent, unoffending Negro girls in Birmingham and Emmett C. Till and Medgar Evers in Mississippi. These are they who are constantly fighting a degenerating sense of nobodiness and who find themselves daily standing at tiptoe stands, not knowing which insult to expect next. These are they who have sweated and slaved to educate their children only to find them still exploited economically and restricted vocationally. These are they coming up out of the delta of Mississippi in search for a promised land only to discover that the pharaohs are still around. These are they who have come from the sun-drenched poverty of Puerto Rico in search of the gold of human kindness in this land of opportunity.
rods erupt. Black power is the instrument of the people in the crossroads of change, psychological, economic, political change, which can result only if the freedom to develop themselves fully in every area of human activity. And I know if I need him, I say, come brother, it's something far stronger than the forces which seek to divide us. Something far stronger. That sense and dignity that has been developed within us because of suppression, because of despair, that great affinity of suffering can never split the Negro community in this country, Floyd.
Thank you. Dr. King, platform guest, speech today. You have enough speakers. But I do want to make a few comments. If you will recall, just a few minutes ago, we had the Puerto Rican community, and I think maybe even the Mexican community, represented here. When the white supremacist system of Western civilization and the United States to divert the energies of the underprivileged of our societies into fights among themselves. They've been quite successful at this for a long number of years. Thank you. I like whoever it is up there. It must be from Mississippi. Right here, I want to correct a statement that I made on television here in Chicago about 1 week ago. I was speaking in answer to the question about the dissension among the Negroes, and I spoke of the Negroes who did not come to Memphis to see me when I was in the hospital, and stressing the fact that we shouldn't be concerned about what happened to those that did come, but what happened, why the ones that didn't come. And I call the name of Reverend J.H. Jackson. That's the first time in the history of my life that I've ever been on a platform and received a boo. I hope it's my last. Because I said on television the other night that Reverend Jackson had not come to Memphis to see me when I was shot. That was a mistake. I've checked with the hospital in Memphis, and Reverend Jackson was the second person to come to Memphis to see me, and they wouldn't let him in. The whites try to make the Negroes fight every day, and we are little enough to let them make us do it. Now, in closing, I'm going to tell you, I drove through Chicago Monday when I was here to speak at the rally for Dick Gregory, And the only thing that stuck in my mind was the dirty streets in the Negro neighborhood. Now, don't clap. That ain't.
Contempt. That's contempt for people. We can open up the city then. Now, everybody was given a piece of paper.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the long, hot summer. It's been 2 years since we've met here in Soldiers Field, and we've seen many changes, many significant changes and many victories. But we are the first to recognize that the revolution of human rights in Chicago is far from over. In fact, it has just begun. Nonetheless, we can justly be proud of the victories that have been achieved through the banding together and the determination of those of us who are seeking positive social change. Certainly the fact that Willis is leaving at the end of this summer is a major victory. And that it means the greatest stumbling block to quality integrated education has been removed. But that does not mean that any of the fundamental problems of this school system have been solved. We saw more than 100 days of marching last summer to focus attention on the grievances of oppressed minorities in our urban areas. Had it not been for those dedicated marchers, we would not be standing here today, hands joined with Dr. King and the SCLC, focusing our vision on a truly open city. We have seen as well the banding together and organizing of new kinds of groups, constructively acting to solve our problems, to determine their own destinies and to declare themselves a part of the democratic process. We saw Joint Community Union organize a tenants union and gain for the first time in this country's history a collective bargaining contract with building and management and affirm the rights of tenants to deal with the landlord. In recent weeks, the East Garfield Union to End Slums picketed and sat in on one of the city's largest slum landlords, and in the very near future,